Instagram, sometimes it just does what it wants.
Yeah.
Live. Okay.
Perfect.
Hello, everyone. Oh, actually, jumping in the frame. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am Dr. Nicole Smith, founder of Anti-Gravity Wellness here at the Anti-Gravity Wellness podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I am joined by one of my good friends and repeat customers here at the podcast, Betty McLean from Aim for Greatness Coaching. She is also a fellow nurse and one of my favorite people. So I'm so glad to have her back on.
Thank you. I love being here.
This week, we are talking about cortisol and burnout, which is your specialty, the burnout part especially.
Yes. Yeah. I know the effects of cortisol as I feel them.
Yeah.
I've experienced it. But yeah, dealing with actually what do you do in the moment when you are feeling that stress and that adrenaline, and trying to live a more comfortable, calm life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you deal with it? Because you know it's there, right? You can feel it. Yeah. But helping people downregulate, helping people use effective tools to close those stress cycles, mm-hmm. which then leads to healing burnout.
Opposed to maladaptive.
Yes.
Before we get too deep, for those people who are new and don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself and your origin story and your business.
Yeah. So I'm Betty McLean. I've been an RN for 21 years. Wow. Yeah. And it's so funny to say that because I'm like, 20 is a long time, but it doesn't feel like a long time. I did hospital, acute care, med surg nursing for 17 years. And right about that 17-year mark, I was becoming less and less adaptive or tolerant of stress. Mm-hmm. I had several experiences that were traumatic. And rather than dealing with them in productive ways, getting therapy, learning to actually manage my emotions, I just kind of numbed out to them. Started using a lot of alcohol, started using a lot of food, and I found myself just screaming at people I love, which is not who I am, mm-hmm. which it really shocked me actually when I saw that behavior. I'm like, what in the world is happening? Right? It did not click for me that it was burnout until I had a patient loss, a very sudden death. And when I started, I just, after that one, I dreaded going to work. Because I had always been okay going to work. But I was dreading going to work. I was having more and more stress, not managing it. And I started asking my charge nurses, the nurses who had been nurses forever, I don't think I'm okay. Like, what do I do? And unfortunately, the answer I got was, you'll be okay. We all go through this. It just takes time. You're fine. That was the answer I got. And I was like, well, I'm not okay with that. I need help. I need support. I thank God I realized that. Mm-hmm. And I found a life coach. I don't know why I didn't think about going to therapy because that would have been very appropriate. But I found a life coach and started learning how my thoughts affect my emotions and how my emotions dictate my actions. And it was like a light bulb, right? And I realized that we aren't teaching this to anybody. And we're certainly not teaching it to nurses who are, most nurses are, well, some are in their 20s, but most nurses are moms. Most nurses are trying to balance a very, very challenging career and a home, and they're trying to maintain a relationship with their spouse or life partner. They're trying to raise healthy kids, right? And then they get 10 years into it, 15 years into it, and now they're hitting perimenopause, and their body is absolutely letting them down on every front, right? They go for their run and they still gain weight. This is where I am, and I know we're gonna work together here and try to figure out what's going on with my hormones, because you can do all the things and eat what you've been eating for the last 15 years and start gaining weight, Mm-hmm. And so all of these things happen externally, And what I found was the dread, the suffering, the just, I'm not okay feeling, I was able to get rid of that just by managing my thoughts in a more productive way. So is my job still stressful? Yes. I actually left hospital nursing about that 17-year mark, and I do in-home care now. But do I still have a high stress job? Sure. Am I still dealing with weird hormone things that like freak me out? Yes. Texting my coach, dear friend, what is going on with my body? Bless you, right? But so am I still dealing with all that? Yes. But now I have tools so that when I feel that stress rise, I can close that loop. When I feel dread about going into something, I don't let it sit in my body and cause, constant suffering, right? I know how to move those uncomfortable emotions and use those uncomfortable emotions to be more productive, to morph that into calm, more, transmute that pain or that irritation or that dread into something different. I know how to manage my thoughts, which means I know how to manage my emotions. And when I realized that I could do that, that's a long answer. So when I realized I could do that, that's why I wanted to start Aim for Greatness coaching, because we are not taught that. We're not taught that as children. We're not taught that as nurses. And I certainly wasn't taught that. And it wasn't expressed to me that like, you don't have to suffer. You don't have to be, sitting in your car, 10 minutes before shift, just dreading going into work. It was a horrible pit in your stomach. You don't have to suffer like that. You can adjust and change. And that doesn't mean you're not going to feel dread, but it doesn't have to control you. So that's what I love to do in my coaching, is help people go from my emotions are all over the place. I don't know how to control them. I'm in constant dread. I'm in constant stress, to yeah, I'm going to have stress and I know how to handle it. Yeah, my body's going to do some weird crap, apparently for the next 10 or 15 years. And I know how to deal with it. Yes, it's going to be hard physically, but I have the mental capacity to make it not be a problem. This is just the next phase. I'm not worried. I'm not emotionally stressed. Physically, I might be stressed, right? That cortisol level might be there, but I know how to work with it. So that's what I love to do in my coaching. I do one-on-one coaching. I also occasionally will do a group coaching program. I just wrapped up a 10-week group coaching program, which was so wonderful. The gals it was an all women's group, and it was just a really neat time for them to get the support they need from me. And group coaching is nice because you don't always have to be the one asking the questions. You can kind of sit back and listen to the other people get coached. And so that was really helpful for some of them. But yeah, I do that. I do private 12-week 12-week package. Just helping people manage stress, manage burnout, learn those tools to, rewire your brain so that you can deal with all the things out there and all the things that your body's doing too.
Yes,
So.
Yeah. So diving into the cortisol stuff this week, I've been looking at some studies, and they're talking about mindset and how, because you can't cut your head off and not live. So it's all connected.
All connected.
And your thoughts affect your emotions, which are chemical reactions in your body 100%. That then affect the rest of your, and your gut is your second brain and all this kind of stuff. So, and where do the adrenals sit, like on top of your kidneys? Like it's all connected. So those women who, and it's a correlation, not causation, but so those with higher waist to hip ratio were shown to have worse coping skills and more helplessness when it came to stressful situations, which was really interesting. So, but it's kind of a good thing, because that's something that we can train.
Yes.
That's something that we can do in coaching. And therapy and, you know,
Mhm.
life coaching, that we can start working on that mindset.
Mhm.
And then that in and of itself is going to help with other decisions that lead to the weight loss
Yes.
and getting rid of that visceral fat that's really bad for
Mhm.
us, that can lead to metabolic syndrome and
Yep.
things like that. So,
Mhm.
it does get harder through menopause.
Yeah.
Like our cortisol is already high to begin with.
Yep.
And then you add stress, and then you can't cope with that stress. And it's just like, you know,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. And there's this, I don't know, it's almost like this expectation that if you're stressed, you're going to like lose your crap, right? Like, it's just, oh yeah, women get crazy when they go through menopause or whatever. And to some extent, I think, yeah, that might be true. I don't know. We'll see. Check back with me in 5 years, right? But when we have the tools to slow down and distance ourselves from our immediate reaction, even 2 seconds of take a breath, we show up, we make better decisions, but it takes time to train that.
Yes.
And so if like for me, I'm in a really good place where I'm heading into perimenopause or in perimenopause, I guess. I need to just embrace that, huh? You're there, you're 42, 3 years old, you're there, babe. So I already have those skills in place. So as I'm noticing changes in my body, I have the tools. Oh yeah, we're going to accept this. We're going to figure out what our next step is. If I have a moment where I feel like I need to rip somebody's head off and my adrenaline and my cortisol seems like it's absolutely out of control, I have the tools to wind down. The beautiful thing is the sooner you start practicing those, the stronger they get. So learn them now.
Like
learn them now.
Any skill.
Can I share with you my favorite fastest technique?
Absolutely.
Okay. So my favorite fastest technique, when you feel that rising, right? Maybe you're in the middle of a conversation. This happens for me a lot. I'll be in the middle of a conversation, usually with someone I love dearly, usually my husband, and he'll start saying things and I feel myself just getting angry, getting a little tense. When you feel that stress starting to rise, that's your opportunity to start this. It's 1, 2, 3. 1, you're going to ask, am I safe? Okay. Because we have to, again, it's the brain body connection. You cannot have one without the other. So you're going to ask, you're going to feel the emotion coming up and you're going to ask, am I safe? Okay. 9 times out of 10, you are. 9 times out of, honestly, probably 9.5 times out of 10, you are safe. If you're not, leave the situation.
Yeah.
Remove yourself from the situation. Okay. But if you are safe, then you're going to move on to number 2. Number 2 is a physiological sigh. So to me, it's not helpful for somebody to say, you're stressed, you need to take some deep breaths. Okay. It's like saying, calm down. Okay. Yes. Okay. I'll take a couple breaths, There's actually a very specific way to breathe when you're trying to calm your nervous system. So when you feel that adrenaline, the cortisol is probably already high at that point. I don't know. But you feel that adrenaline start to surge. Am I safe? And then you want to tell your fight or flight system to shut down. So the way you do that is with a physiological sigh. And what they've determined, what scientists have studied it, and it's a particular way of breathing that triggers your 10th cranial nerve, which is the nerve that innervates down into the heart and the gut. And it tells the heart, slow down. Slow down. We're okay. So the physiological sigh is in, nice deep breath in. And when you get to almost full, you take a little quick top off and then a long exhale. The key is the super long exhale. You want the exhale to be longer than the inhale. So it's like in, big exhale. Okay. In, get a nice long exhale. It literally, do one more. And then top it and out. All of it out. 3 is perfect. It tells your heart, let's slow down. Yeah. We're okay. And then the the third step is super important. You want to shake a little bit. Just shake a little bit. If you're talking to someone, you can't. I mean,
it'll be a little weird.
It'll be a little weird.
Like having like a seizure,
right? You can't just shake your hands a little bit. Just shake your feet a little bit. You can't even tell. I'm kind of shaking my foot a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like that's all you need to do because the adrenaline's still there. It's still circulating.
Yeah,
it takes 90 seconds to maybe 2 minutes for the adrenaline, for the neurotransmitters to wear off.
Mm-hmm.
So shaking just a little bit allows that adrenaline to fully leave your system.
Mm-hmm.
So am I safe? Take some physiological size and then release that adrenaline. Like physically move, release the adrenaline. That closes the stress response cycle. So the stress response cycle is important. It's wonderful. It's how we've survived as a human species, right? Mm-hmm. We see a threat, we activate, and then we either fight or we flee. We somehow deal with the threat, and then we move on with our day. The problem is in modern society, our brain sees everything as a threat. Mm-hmm. Somebody's yelling at me, that's a threat. Somebody cut me off in traffic, that's a threat. Mm-hmm. My 10-year-old is telling me they hate me and they're having their own moment. That's a threat, right? Mm-hmm. My body suddenly is doing really weird things and I think I'm going to die. That's a threat, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all a threat, which in and of itself isn't the problem. The problem is we don't address it and close that cycle. Mm-hmm. So the 1, 2, 3, ask, are you safe? Do some physiological size and then release that adrenaline. That closes that stress cycle and allows you to enter the next stress cycle from a baseline, from a calm baseline.
As opposed to always being up here.
As opposed to always being up here. And then it becomes chronic stress, right? That chronic cortisol, which
and then you burn out.
Bad things, right? bad things. And that is what leads to burnout because you don't have the resiliency and the baseline of addressing each problem as it comes. You're like, that problem is still with me and that problem's still with me and that problem's still, and here I am at the end of the day and I need a drink because I can't calm down because I've got 20 tabs open, right? 20 stress cycles open and I can't close any of them, right? Yes. You can. It just takes longer and it takes a lot of intention to when we're at that level of chronic stress. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's very doable, but you're not going to do it with a couple cycles of physiological sigh breathing.
Yes.
So
you mentioned reaching for that glass of alcohol at night. And we were talking before we got on about some maladaptive things that sometimes nurses and people do in general, but that was kind of like a running joke. And I've seen some other, another one that I love following, and he does great videos and stuff about, how it is being a nurse, but he's seen on camera very often with a big old bottle, just drinking straight from it because he's so stressed out from the shift. And I'm like, I understand that. I was there, been there many times, and I get that, but it's only making things worse. So what do we do?
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing is just asking that question. Mm-hmm. Yes, I understand we're at the end of the day and we want to calm down, but can we do something else? Yeah. How do I want to feel in the morning? I have found, I used to be able to tolerate drinking a lot. I would drink a lot, and tolerate. The next day I didn't have a hangover. I didn't feel bad. Mm-hmm. As I've gotten older, one glass of wine, I might feel weird the next day, right? Yeah. And I think that's normal as we hit perimenopause.
Yep, we don't metabolize it like we used to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then the opportunity becomes, I see this as a problem. What do I want to do about it? And just asking that question allows space for your brain to, if you're in a receptive place, ask your brain, what do you want to do about it? Mm-hmm. Because the result for me, for a long time, the answer was, don't open a bottle of wine. Because I would get home and I would open a bottle of wine and then I would finish it. Yeah. Right. So I could only drink. I could not drink after work. I was like, I'm just not going to do that anymore. Mm-hmm.
There's no off button.
Because then once I had one glass, That felt good. I wanted 2. That felt great. I wanted 3. At that point, the inhibitions are gone. Like, I'm just going to finish the bottle, right? But you have to notice. You have to be like, wow, okay, maybe you're not finishing a whole bottle, but maybe you don't like the fact that you're reaching for wine or shots or beer or food.
Yeah.
Maybe you're always reaching for, you eat one cookie and then you're eating the whole package, right? Notice what you're doing. Get really honest with yourself in a loving way. Coping mechanisms are there to save us. Coping mechanisms are the safe arms that wrap around us when we don't know how to survive. So, do I get mad at myself for the fact that I would drink myself to sleep every night? No. That was the only coping mechanism I understood. The opportunity is to go, wow, you needed help and you couldn't find it, but then you found help. Good job. Now what do we want to do about it? So now, if I want to drink, I have a drink, and I just understand that I might not feel great in the morning, right? Honestly, or I know for a lot of my friends, they're turning to non-alcoholic, like spirits and non-alcoholic. There's a whole like industry coming up around non-alcoholic, because it's fun to have a fun drink, right?
Yes.
But you don't want it to feel like awful. So maybe for you and your circumstance, we're gonna, instead of just saying I'm not gonna drink alcohol, maybe we'll say I'm gonna have a special treat available for when I want to drink something that tastes good and reward myself for working hard. But see, that's different than I need to numb out from the pain, right? When you're using it to numb out from the pain, you're using it to not dread going to work the next day because you don't know how to wind down. You have to get help. You have to figure out what techniques can I use. And you just have to be curious, because there's so many good people out there with really good advice. And some of it is going to be perfect for you, and some of it you're going to have to tweak and modify for your lifestyle, right? I think, it'd be beautiful if every morning all of us could get up and spend 2 hours working out, doing yoga, meditating. Like, that would be amazing. But that's just not the case. No. If you've got, a newborn and a toddler and a 6-year-old, and you need to be to work by 7, you're probably not going to get up and spend 2 hours exercising and meditating. I mean, not everybody anyway. But can you implement 5-minute, I have another tool that I can share if you want. Can you get up and practice a 2-minute gratitude, right? Can you get up and spend 5 minutes dancing to your favorite song, right? So you find, same thing in the evening, like you need to wind down. You're probably not going to spend 3 hours meditating and doing yoga. Would that be amazing? Abso-freaking-lutely. But if you're a busy midlife gal, like, you're probably not going to have 3 hours that you want to dedicate to that kind of work. Can you spend 5 minutes stretching? Absolutely. Can you spend 15 minutes journaling and, celebrating that you use the 1, 2, 3 today and celebrate yourself a little bit? Yeah, you probably can. Yeah. And those are the kind of tools that you have to start to implement as you let go of the maladaptive, as you let go of the overeating, the overdrinking, the wallowing in self-pity. Like, I really believe that the brain and the body need love and care. And you cannot get rid of what you've been using for your love and care, because that's what your body's been using. Your body is like, I need love and care, so I'm going to overeat. I need love and care, so I'm going to overdrink, right? I need love and care, so I'm going to watch 6 hours of Netflix and fall asleep on the couch at 1 a.m, right? So we can cut those out all day long, but if we're not filling that love and care with something else, the body's going to go back to it. So it's a let go of that as we bring in new coping mechanisms and new ways to treat ourselves and new ways to look at things.
There are two things that you brought up I want to touch back on. So the last one was self-care. So we'll get back to that and what a definition of self-care is.
Yes.
Because that's important. And that's where I loved your coaching too, because you just reframe your thoughts. But the first one was how you start your day. I noticed myself getting into this, working at the hospital and doing the business and never feeling like I have enough time. Right. And I would hit the ground running first thing in the morning. And I was doing that for months on end. And then I talked to another business coach and she's like, I'm just like, I don't even know what to do. Da, 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 da. And she's like, what is your morning like? And I was like, oh, I open up my laptop, I go straight in. She's like, whoa, no wonder why you are just drowning right now. She's like, girl, you have got to, and she's about prayer and scripture. But she's like, whatever you want to do, you take the first 10 minutes or whatever you have, and you have to get your mind right. Yes. Because that is like your foundation that then you go forward to serve. Right. I was like, oh yeah.
So this is so interesting. There's a reason for that. Because when we're asleep, we're in these deep delta waves, right? As we wake up in the morning, we don't go into alpha and beta waves where we're like fully awake. And I might be saying the wrong wavelength. There's about 30 minutes to an hour where we are in theta waves, I think is what it is. And that state is very impressionable. So if the first thing we do is, and this is where I have to watch what I'm doing. If the first thing we do is open emails and look at who texted our business and then go right from there to check our social media messages. And now that we're on social media, we're going to scroll and we're going to notice that somebody posted a video. Oh, I want to watch that. And then we're scrolling. We've been awake for 10 minutes and we're suddenly scrolling puppy videos and videos of people like pranking their cats. Like, I don't know. My feed is very weird. Lots of animals and lots of women talking about hormones and lots of people talking about stress. But every once in a while, some weird ones creep in there and I'm like, what in the world? Anyway, the problem with social media and getting right onto social media is that it's short, curated moments, and it's teaching your brain, I need to move on to the next thing. I need to move on to the next thing. It is not calm, balanced, restorative, patient. It's none of that, right? It's almost like you're raising your cortisol level extra fast, right? And then 5 minutes in, you're running and getting coffee, I'm like, I'm usually awake for barely 30 minutes. I think it's about 30 minutes before I get my first cup of coffee. And I'm pretty good about drinking water first, but that's what we do. We get up, we immediately are bombarding our brain and immediately grabbing coffee and immediately go, right? And that's when our brain's most impressionable. So if you can spend 5 to 10 minutes when you first wake up thinking about things that you love, focusing on scripture or meditative passages, doing some stretching, like being intentional about caring for yourself, you really do set your day up you're still going to have all the stressors. You're still going to have all the same stressors, but you'll come at it from a place of resilience.
Yeah.
So
I definitely noticed that when I do slip and I start getting busy again, I'm like, like I woke up at 3 a.m. this morning, my brain was going and I was like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And then I'm like, oh my God, Nicole. But when I do take the time and I'm deliberate about giving myself that time and that space, I do so much better, like just throughout the entire day. And then by the end of the day, I've done all I can. And I am to the point where I'm like, my brain's not working anymore. So we got to walk away because I'm going to make mistakes and double work and So we're done. And then I'm in a better place to accept that and be at peace with it as opposed to, I didn't get it done again. It makes a huge difference. The other thing is self-care and the concept of what self-care. I've done a couple videos on this because I remember the first time that you were talking to me about this. And I was you know, oh, I'm so burned out in this job and I don't want to do this. And you're like, can you just like take a step back and think about what this is doing for you?
Right.
Like, how is this actually for you? How is this
Mhm.
serving you? And how is this actually a form of caring for yourself, of your family, and
Mhm.
and the future that you want to build, because it's
Mhm.
making it possible, because you're bringing in an income and da 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 da. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, fine.
Yeah.
There's some resistance to that, but it's so helpful, again, that reframing.
Yeah.
So I didn't walk away sooner. I'm
Yeah.
walking away now, but it's time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You're so this is the thing when we want to walk away from something or someone or anything. If we can get to a place where we have learned the lesson, right? If we want to leave our job, and I did not do that. I am an example of I did not do this. So I left my hospital job out of fear. I was having a lot of dread. I was trying to heal burnout, but I had just started coaching and figuring out all these tools. And I decided that I couldn't wrap my head around healing from burnout if I was still working my hospital job. So I left. And because of that, I had a lot of guilt and shame about leaving my job because I didn't close the chapter. Now, luckily, I worked with some amazing coaches and I was able to work through that, right? But how different it would have been if I had just slowed down, taken a step back and said, I'm going to start working on these coaching tools, learning how to manage my mind, and I'm going to be really thankful and find the things that I appreciate about my hospital job, and then close that chapter when I feel ready, and then move to a new job. This is same thing with relationships. We get into a relationship and not necessarily for relationships that are dangerous. If there's somebody that is just not a healthy, safe human to be around, just end it and walk away, right? Get all the restraining orders, do the things. But if there's somebody that you're like, I just don't know if I just don't know if we can build a life together anymore. I think I might be done. Can you get to a place where you're like, okay, I'm not going to leave yet. I'm going to get to the point where I appreciate who you are as a person and get to the point where I understand if I actually want to be with you or not. I don't have to demonize you. I don't have to make it, this big, well, I have to leave him because he's terrible. Or I have to get to the point where I hate him so much that I'll leave, right? When we do that, we raise our cortisol level. We create more stress for ourselves. When we are wanting to take excellent care of ourselves and create an environment in which we feel supported and loved and cared for, we have to just accept this situation we're in first. We don't have to, but it makes it easier. It makes it so much easier if you just say, okay, these are the people that are in my life right now. They're not perfect because no human is. I'm going to take a deep breath. Right? I'm going to think about in 5 years from now, are they the people that I want in my life? Easy as that. They don't have to be demons. They don't have to be horrible people. I know they're not perfect. Do I want them? This goes for friendship. This goes for romantic partners. This goes for family, right? They don't have to be wrong or bad for you to say, no. But if we try to make them a demon and then leave, we bring so much more stress with us. It becomes this big contentious thing. When we leave a job, it's like, if we can just get to the point where we've learned a lesson and we're calm about it, you just make better decisions. When you're in a calm space. This is true of food too, right?
Yes.
When you're like, chips are the devil. I'm never eating another potato chip ever. The sodium, oh my God, right? And then, but that's your go-to chip, right? Then you're going to eat it and then you feel horrible about yourself. And then not only are you can't enjoy it because you've demonized it, right? And then you're like, well, now I have to be mad at myself because I chose to eat the thing, right?
Something bad.
Right. I did something bad and now I'm terrible too. And now everything's one of my favorite weight loss coaches calls it, can you swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
She calls it fuck it eating.
Oh, yes.
Right?
I think I know exactly what you're talking
Corinne
about.
Crabtree?
Yes.
Yeah, she's amazing. I love all of her stuff.
Yeah.
She's a great business coach too.
Yeah.
But she calls it fuck it eating because you're like, no, I'm not gonna eat the cookie. I'm not gonna eat the cookie. I'm not gonna eat the cookie. Cookies are the demon, the devil. They're the worst. I'm not gonna do it. And then you're like, well, I had a really rough day. I should just eat one. And then you eat one and you're like, God, dang it. I shouldn't have had it. There's only 3 more. I'm just going to eat them. Just fuck it. I'm just going to eat it. And then you eat the cookies and the chips and you know what? I'll start again tomorrow. Right.
Or next week.
Yeah. Right. On Monday. And we do that with everything though. We allow our emotions to get the better, get control of our prefrontal cortex. And we just don't make great decisions when we act from places of stress, places of anger, frustration, those uncomfortable emotions. We just don't make the best decisions usually.
One thing that I've been very helped by, I was watching Alex Hormozy the other day, and he was talking about the fires in your business, or you could say the fires in your life, because we all have those. And he was talking about, like, we have all these fires, right? And yeah, we could spend all of our time running around putting out all these little fires, or we could focus on the big one over here that's actually going to make or break us. And let the rest of it burn.
Yes.
Because it really actually doesn't matter in the end of the day. And then also the concept that they're always going to be there.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I got it in my head somewhere where I was going to be done.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. Like, it's like, there's always laundry. There's always dishes. There's always whatever. Like, there's always something that is going to be burning. But just like coming to terms with that and being at peace with it.
Yeah.
Holy crap. That was revolutionary.
Yeah. Well, and what's so amazing is when we understand, like, and come to grips with, there's always going to be stressors. Yeah. Like, there's always going to be stressors. It allows us to kind of take an expansive breath and be like, and I'm capable.
That's big.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I've been managing all of this so far.
Yes.
So I'm probably fully capable of handling it in the future too.
Yep.
Look at that. Right? Yeah. I've been working on mindset around capacity a lot in the last couple of weeks. So just knowing that you might feel capable of a certain amount right now, but we actually have the ability to grow our capacity.
Yes.
Right. And become more resilient and more capable. And it starts with slowing down and taking a breath and being like, this is my environment and I'm okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Well, and small little increments and knowing that you're going to get, like, let's talk about diet, because that's really easy.
Yes.
You need to make a dietary change. So a lot of my clients, when they come in, especially with we had the 12-week intensive, here's your meal plan program. You're going to be cleaning out your pantry kind of a thing. And people, the first 3 weeks, honestly, were sometimes a little rough because they're like, this is so new. This is so different than what they're used to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just bear with it. Do what you can. Tell me what you're really struggling with. I had one client and he was like, I need my A1 sauce. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then found out he puts it on everything. And I was like, oh, it's like your ketchup.
Oh, okay.
So we found him a healthier A1 sauce. And I was like, here you go. Here, it's paleo and it's cleaner ingredients. So it doesn't have all the, stuff in it. And it took a little bit of getting used to.
Because it wasn't A1.
It wasn't the same. Yeah. But, still steak sauce. And then, of course, you feel so good and then you roll with that. But it is getting to that next level. There is a level of discomfort that you're going to have to go through to get to that next level. But then chill there for a minute and then go to the next one, because we do need to raise our capacity. And that whole, when you raise your capacity, I guess another word we could use for it is standards. And we fall to the level of our standards. We don't rise to the level of our goals. Eventually we want to try and get there, but how do we get there? We raise our standards little by little and kind of work on it that way.
Yeah, exactly. And just know that just like stress, that uncomfortable feeling, it's not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's meant to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Life, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but life is meant to be 50-50. We're meant to have those uncomfortable emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's part of the human experience. It does not mean anything's gone wrong, right? In fact, something is going right because you're challenging your set point. You're challenging your norm. And the brain, the survival part of our brain that has kept us alive this long, right, has kept us alive by doing the same thing over and over, right? So yes, it's going to be uncomfortable and the brain is going to panic for a moment until you can prove to it that you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and the more that we can lean into, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable. Like the less stress we have when we're like at the fridge and we don't have our A1 and we're like, oh my God, right? No, it's meant to be uncomfortable. I'm meant to not feel comfortable using this new product. It's okay because it's a new thing and new is different because the survival part of our brain thinks that if it's new, it means we might die.
Yes. This could be bad and we don't.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's just trying to keep us alive.
Yeah.
Our brain's just trying to keep those uncomfortable emotions, like they're meant to shock us into stopping what we're doing because our brain has kept us alive for 43 years, right? So don't challenge things, don't do anything different, right?
Yeah.
Be comfortable.
Yeah.
So we just have to kind of take the reins a little bit and be like, okay, brain, it's okay to be uncomfortable.
Yes, it's good.
It's good to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, and you look at this whole idea of stress as a beneficial thing, right? When we stress our muscles or stress our bones when we're lifting heavy, that's a stress to the body. Yeah. But it triggers the body to get stronger. Yep. Right? That's how I like to think about emotional stress. I had a stressful interaction with my husband a couple of days ago, but you know what? It was really good because it made me stop and be self-reflective about the expectations I've been putting on him. So really, that stressful conversation was helpful in my personal growth, right? We can start to change our mindset about discomfort and stress and make it for us rather than something that's trying to beat us down.
Yeah. That can be really hard to work on. Like, you know, here we are in our 40s. We're just like figuring this stuff out. Like, oh my gosh. I wish I had known some of that sooner, but it's okay. We're here. So,
Well, and the beautiful thing is, like, honestly, if somebody had given me this work when I was in my 20s, for me, I mean, I've met some 20-year-olds who are taking this on and loving it. But for me, I might not have accepted it when I was in my 20s.
Oh man.
You know, I think we get the work that we're ready for when we're ready for it.
The teacher appears and the student's ready.
Yes. Yeah. I really do believe that because I don't know. I think the universe knows what it's doing. God knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think we're all just figuring it all out anyway. So I like to believe that this is the perfect timing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I go with anyway.
Well, what other alternative do we have? Like, it is what it is. Sometimes you just have to be like, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I was definitely having that moment this morning with her husband. I was like, I had just a second where I was thinking back to like, man, it would have been better if we had XYZ and we had met sooner. And I'm like, no, it happened the way it was supposed to. Like, we're exactly where we're supposed to be.
Yep.
And that's that capacity thing too. Like, growing something new, you have to master certain levels. And so it's not like a video game where you know exactly where to go next. Unfortunately, like it is, there's no script. There's nobody has the playbook for this. And you just have to get to the next level and use your intuition as best you can, do the best you can. And just know that you will grow so long as you want to grow. And that's the thing. Like, we all have to be on our own journey, and we can't force anybody, and you're only responsible for yourself. But it's hard.
Good. It's so good though.
Good.
It is
good
good.
hard.
It's a good hard.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I wouldn't want somebody. You think about if somebody had handed me a playbook at 15 and told me, this is how you're going to live your life. You're going to go to college. You're going to establish your career. You're going to meet your husband. You're going to get married. You're going to have 2.5 kids. You're going to, retire at 65. You're going to plant a garden. You're going to bird watch, and then you're going to die. Like, what fun is that? I don't like surprises, but at the same time, I don't want to be told exactly how life's going to go. Yeah. That's part of the joy, is like figuring out, oh, I don't, but I really like bird watching or, discovering a new hobby, discovering a new relationship, discovering a capacity you had in yourself that you didn't know. Yeah. Like there's joy in that. So, learn what you can from where you can. And like you said, tap into that intuition and, just make the best decisions you can. Love yourself through it. Give yourself grace. Mm-hmm. I think that's hard, especially for women our age, like just loving yourself through it. But like, you're the most important person in your life. Figure it out. Like, take care of yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That is one thing though that I do love about the 40s is that you like all of that crap of, oh, I care about what this person thinks or what's going on over here. That stuff really falls away. Yeah. And I've noticed just in myself too, that I'm just a lot more comfortable with who I am. And I think but part of that was I had to go through some real shit, like some real stuff that really tore me down to my core. And to the point where I was like, I was doing everything I could to please somebody and it was never going to go any other way. So why don't I just be me? Yeah. Like take it or leave it. I am done trying to please everybody else because it's never going to work. Yeah. Everyone's always like, they're going to think what they're going to think. And even people who love you sometimes think bad things about you and it's fine. You think bad things about them too. It's fine. Yeah. It doesn't mean you don't love them. Yeah. And then as far as what people are going to do, it's up to them. Yeah. Like we can try all we want to try and manipulate their, but it doesn't work. Yeah. It doesn't work. So just be yourself and be happy. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and really trying to get people to behave the way you want them to, trying to, show up in a certain way so that they'll show up in a certain way. It's a lose-lose game. Oh yeah. Because not only are you trying to contort yourself into something they will like, they have to then respond to something that's not you. It's not real. Right. So even if they do end up loving that person that you're presenting to them, it's going to fall away at some point because it's fake. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So they lose, you lose, everybody loses. Just be yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's easier said than done for some of us because it's hard. I just have a hard time being open and authentic. Especially before I learned coaching techniques, just being self-reflective. I'm like, I don't know who I am. Right. But learning to be self-reflective and learn who I am and learn what I like is a win-win because as I've learned the things about myself that I appreciate, the things that I've learned about myself that I can tolerate, I've been able to show up for the people I love in a more authentic way. And that's allowed them to be more authentic. Right. But it is hard sometimes to love yourself, but that's just part of the journey.
Yeah. Well, and then being the people pleaser.
Yeah.
Because you think that that's what you should do to make everybody like you. But again, that's a form of manipulation.
Yes.
And it's not true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, yeah. We love being in our 40s.
Yep. It's great. It's great.
But kind of coming back around to the mind-body connection.
Yeah.
So all of the things that we've been talking about today with the mindset and how you perceive yourself and how you interact with other people, again, it's those, which part of your brain you're using is when we're calm, we're able to access the prefrontal cortex, which is the reasoning, the rationale. And when we're not able to access that, we're actually going into like the hindbrain, which is very survival. And
very survival.
Keeping you alive. So you do things that are more reactive that, sometimes you're not so proud of later because you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I was not behaving my best right there.
Yeah. I didn't show up the way I wanted to.
Yeah.
For myself or other people.
Yeah. And it's a warning sign. So like going into perimenopause, one of the things that happens is, like progesterone starts to go low first. Progesterone is calming.
Yes.
It helps to regulate those emotions. So when you start to notice yourself, that could be one of the first signs is like you have a hard time controlling your emotions.
Yeah.
You start to get more irritated really easily. You're like, oh, I just can't, almost like you're constantly PMSing. Like everything pisses you off all the time. And you're like, okay, what is going on? So it's that, but it's that moment. So we can't always control our emotions. We can't always control our hormones, like and how what our body's going through.
Yeah.
But we can stop and go, okay, let's notice that. Let's get curious about that.
Yes.
And then knowing too, like that's part of my mission is to make sure that women are aware and that they know that what's normal and what's not normal.
Yes.
And when it's not normal, don't let anybody tell you that it is.
Right.
Because a lot of people think common means it's normal. No, common is just common. Doesn't mean that it's normal. Doesn't mean that it's healthy.
Right. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I think that's a really good definition. It's like, just because it's common does not mean it's healthy and okay and that you should tolerate it.
Yes.
Right. It's diabetes is common.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people in the United States have diabetes. It's common.
Yes.
That doesn't mean it's normal for your body and healthy for your body. So yes, it's normal or it's common to be irritated and not be able to calm down. That doesn't mean it's okay and that you have to suffer that way.
Yes. Yeah. And there's lots of things that we can do aside from get your hormones checked, but also I'm a huge proponent of working with the entire person.
Yes.
That's why I think it's so important to form a network and have people who work with the mind and coaching and mindset and people who do the hormone testing to see what's going on there, because it can be, it's synergistic, like being able to work together on those things.
Yes.
Because I can throw you on estrogen, progesterone replacement. But if you don't address your stress, your burnout, your whatever else is going on, guess what?
Yeah.
We're only going to get so far. You're not going to feel better all the way. And then you're going to be like, this doesn't work. And it's like, well, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One thing that I would love for the listeners to do is to, when it comes to learning to tap into those calm emotions, is I have a gratitude practice. We talk about, spending 30 minutes in meditation. I have a 2-minute focused gratitude practice that I think is pretty darn smart, if I do say so myself. So you can go to aimforgreatnesscoaching.com/gratitude. And it's super simple. But the point is, we were talking about cutting out unhealthy coping mechanisms and adding in healthy coping mechanisms. Yeah. Same thing when we're trying to deal with all the emotions that we're dealing with. Yes, we can be like, I'm not going to be irritated today. I'm not going to be irritable today. I'm just not going to be irritated today. Today, I'm just going to not be irritated, right? You're going to be irritated, right?
Yeah.
But what you can do is say, today, I'm going to really focus on gratitude as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And so when you're brushing your teeth, you say, I'm so thankful for my water. I love this toothbrush, and you think about, go say a prayer before breakfast, thanking the food or thanking God for the food. And you can sprinkle gratitude in throughout your day. I'm going to sneeze, maybe. But the other thing that you can do, and there's all sorts of ways that you can bring gratitude into your day. The cool thing is there's been some actually really good studies on gratitude. From psychologists and also scientists, showing that when we feel gratitude in our body, we're actually creating what they call heart coherence, where the energy, because we are energetic beings, like all our cells are held together with energy. And when we're in a negative emotion, the actual vibrations of our body are not healthy. So when we are joyful and we are in a state of gratitude or love, you hear people talk about vibing, right? It's a thing. It's real. They've been able to measure it. Where when we're in a higher vibration, love, joy, gratitude, our heart actually syncs better with our brain, and the vibrations of our body are more healthy. So, and there's a whole study around that, and it's just really cool. But one thing that I like to encourage people to do, and I have found really helpful, is spending 2 minutes. So what I do is set a timer. And again, I have the steps written out on aimforgreatnesscoaching.com/gratitude. Set a timer for 2 minutes, and then pick one thing that you want to really focus on, one thing that you're super grateful for. So like, if it's your spouse, they may not be the person that you're grateful for today, right? Your child, your pet, coffee, whatever it is, right? Something that you're really, the spring rain, something. Set the timer, and then for 2 minutes, you're going to allow that feeling of gratitude to just fill up in you. And you're going to, if you're not used to meditating, your brain will probably try to flit away, and that's fine. You're just going to bring it back to your focus of gratitude. And we have people who are here live, I think. So you're going to just bring them for 2 minutes, like literally 100 and some odd seconds, right? Anyway, you're just going to bring your mind back, and you're going to allow your body to feel the gratitude, feel that feeling of appreciation and love. And I like to think about, where is it in my body? Do I feel it in my heart? Do I feel it in my face? Do I suddenly start smiling? Do I suddenly start crying? Right? Where am I feeling it? And then when that timer goes off, don't just go about your day. Take a moment and imagine looking at yourself from the outside. Are you smiling? Are you crying? Is your hand on your heart? Like, allow that moment of like bliss and gratitude and joy to just sink in. And then I like to just kind of like shake a little bit and allow those good vibrations to just like move out into my space. When we are dealing with a lot of stress and a lot of changes and the world is chaotic, taking just a couple of minutes, literally 2 minutes, to allow our body to feel what it feels like to be in peace and in love and in appreciation can be the start of feeling resilient, feeling like we have capacity, feeling, like we're going to get through this. We're going to be okay. Right. And then as you go throughout your day, you can anchor back to that moment. I know what it feels like to be calm. I know what it feels like. I felt it this morning. Right. And maybe you don't have 2 minutes to do the whole meditation again, but you were able to create that for yourself this morning. So we're going to get through today. Right.
And bring it back.
I love that as another quick tool.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm listening to Mel Robbins' latest book, Let Them.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's so good. But it was funny because I'm coming back from vacation over the weekend, and I was driving and had my husband and his friend in the car, and I had been telling his friend about the book and like, oh yeah, it's so great. And then I am tired. And we're on the last hour of the trip, and we get in the car. We had lunch, got in the car, and I'm trying to get out of the parking lot, get back on the freeway. And then some guy did like slowest walk ever in front of the car. And I was like, take your time.
Right.
And my friend in the back, he's like, what are we practicing? I'm like, yep, we're practicing right now.
Let him walk slow. Let him.
Just let him. It's fine. But that's that. It's again, like the emotions, like, and I was like, oh, this is part of the, let me have that. Like, recognize, where's that coming from? Oh, I'm tired. Yes. I'm tired. Okay. So that's why I have very short fuse right now and no patience. I'm like, okay, that's okay. That's okay. So we're going to breathe through that. And then I got home and took a nap. But yeah, we're practicing. I guess we're
people and
ending on the live on TikTok. Bye, TikTok. All right, guys. Well, we are.
Oh, Erin's here.
Hi, Erin. Oh, and Jessica. Hi, ladies.
We're over here just
we're just riffing. All right. Well, tell everyone where they can find you. You said aimforgreatnesscoaching.com backslash
For I think it's a / gratitude.
gratitude.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I'm on the social medias, Aim for Greatness Coaching on Facebook and Instagram. On TikTok, I'm actually not Aim for Greatness Coaching. I think it's just my name, Betty McLean.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm always available at Betty at aimforgreatnesscoaching.com. If somebody is wanting more mindset work, wanting to see what coaching would be like, I do a free consultation where we get on for 30 minutes and we talk about what the major struggles are. And I give my recommendation as far as, are you appropriate to work with a life coach? Do you need to work with a therapist? Do you need to just read Mel Robbins' book and get on with your life? Right. Like, so I like to do that. If somebody's thinking about hiring a life coach, that would be where I would start, is just email me, Betty at aimforgreatnesscoaching.com. Be like, I think I need to do a consult. And then we'll figure out how to best support you.
Amazing. And you have a podcast as well.
I do have a podcast.
Yes.
I do. My podcast is Nurse Burnout Solutions. It's on Apple Podcast, YouTube, and on Podbean. And I was on Spotify for a while, but it's not moving to Spotify. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
But on Apple Podcast and YouTube and Podbean. So, awesome. And yeah, those episodes, I try to keep them nice and short, about 15 minutes. And I just talk about anything and everything related to burnout. So
perfect.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Come join me.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. And, Betty's going to be a regular. She's going to come back again because we always have so much to talk about and really great topics. And she's like my mindset guru. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye. Bye.